welcome back to my YouTube channel. As per not very popular request and wanting to make another video, I'm back with another ASMR. And this is going to be a little bit of a less high effort ASMR, I guess you could say. Because this is going to be focused a little bit more on just rambling rather than any specific stories, but I will pad some extra stuff off at the end. So, let's get started. We're going to first start with some simple whispers. I'm going to just talk to the mic, and I'm going to maybe read a couple of Wikipedia entries. So, first, I just want to say that one thing from our planet that is suffering, and not just when it comes to global warming, but one actually positive story is about the coral reef, or the Great Barrier Reef. It actually went through a lot of ecological damage, and this is coming from Google Gemini AI, so, I'm not going to front. So the Great Barrier Reef is the world's largest coral reef system and the only living structure visible from space. I think I've actually heard that before. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is often described as the planet's largest living structure. I said earlier, it's off the coast of Queensland, Australia. It covers approximately 344,400 square kilometers. It's about 133,000 square miles, making it larger than the United Kingdom, Switzerland, and the Netherlands combined. It is not a single contiguous reef, but a system of nearly 3,000 individual reefs and 900 islands. Biodiversity in the Great Eight. The reef is one of the most complex natural ecosystems on Earth. While thousands of species live there, tourism boards often highlight the Great Eight iconic animal visitors that they would hope to see, which include the clownfish, giant clams, which can live up to 70 years. Manta rays, Maori wassauri, which I guess are some type of massive friendly fish. Let's get a little bit more. Oh, that's just the source. I've never heard of this fish. Let's do a little fact check on that, so I can tell you a little bit more. Oh wow, it looks, if you can see right here, the humphead wassauri. It's quite the creature. Anyways, continuing. The potato cod. Over 133 species of shark. And then turtles, whales. And then let's not go into the negative side effects. How about let's talk about the tourism and economy. It contributes approximately 6.4 billion Australian dollars. It supports over 64,000 jobs, mostly in tourism, diving, snorkeling, boat tours, and fishing. Visitor experience tourism is highly regulated to minimize damage, which is good. Visitors can access the reef via boat tours, semi-submersibles. Hopefully it's not that submersible. And even scenic flights to see the famous Heart Reef, a natural composition of coral in the shape of a heart. Let's see that. Does not look so nice. So cute. Anyways, let's talk about some of the conservation efforts. Reef 2050 plan. The Australian and Queensland governments have a long-term sustainability plan that focuses on improving water quality, controlling starfish outbreaks, and rehabilitating island habitats. And then coral restoration. Scientists are experimenting with heat-tolerant corals, breeding corals in labs that can withstand higher temperatures and planting them back onto the reef, also known as coral gardening. I hope that was interesting for anybody listening, but if it wasn't, don't worry, because we'll be switching subjects. Before we get on to a couple of Reddit stories, we're going to knock out some of our random fun facts, our random GPT fun facts section of the video. Octopus taste with their arms. Octopus taste with their tentacles. Their tentacles, 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 tentacles. Every sucker acts, it's basically like having 2,000 tongues. Imagine I'm an octopus. Octopus. I'm tasting you right now as an octopus. I'm tasting you right now as an octopus. Bananas are actually berries. And strawberries are not. Taxonomy is chaos, and botanists are just rolling with it. Yeah, that's some added ChatGPT lingo for you. A day on Venus is longer than a year on Venus. The planet spins so slowly that it does one full rotation in more time than it takes to orbit the sun. So I think that's what it's saying is that, let's say that this mic is the sun. It's the actual planet itself spins so slow that it actually goes around the sun quicker than it completes a full rotation. Venus is basically the cosmic equivalent of someone who just refuses to get out of bed. Is that funny, guys? If it's not, don't blame me. There is a jellyfish that can unage itself. Hold on, before I finish reading this, let me guess. There is also a jellyfish. Oh shoot, I'm forgetting the technical term of it. But there's some jellyfish that is like practically immortal. Hold on. I don't know what its common name is other than the immortal jellyfish, but the Latin name is Pterotypus dornell, a species of a tiny hydrozoan that is biologically immortal due to its ability to reverse. Oh, that's what it's talking about. I'll flash a quick image on screen. Oh, I've heard this next fun fact before, that wombat poop is cube-shaped. The nature invented voxel logs because apparently round just wasn't weird enough. Now let's do a live fact check real quick. It's formed by their uniquely elastic intestines with stiff and soft sections that mold the dung into flat sides and corners just before exiting, helping it stay put for territory making. This marvel of biology, around 2 centimeters in size, serves as non-rolling markers on rocks and logs, with taller stacks signifying stronger territorial claims. And researchers are even studying the process for manufacturing insights. For this one, I'm not going to show a photo. If you want, you can look it up on your own. God, I really hope that background sound isn't getting picked up on the video. Oh, I've heard this one as well. You are literally glowing right now. Yes, you. And you're not only metaphorically glowing, you're also literally glowing. Humans emit a bioluminescence, just like those big, ugly, deep underwater fish from Finding Nemo. It's just extremely faint, like the world's saddest glow stick. I mean, I feel like stuff like that scientists are just pulling out of their ass. There's a species of ant that enslaves other ants. They're just like us for real. Polyergus breviceps raise colonies, kidnap workers, and forces them to serve. Ants have empires, we're not so special. And then, of course, honey never spoils. I think most people know that if they've ever gotten honey, it doesn't expire. Alright, now we're going to move on to the Reddit story portion of this ASMR. Alright, I found a couple of short stories for this section of the video. And I'm either going to pad in extra footage at the end of this that I've already recorded, or save that for a later video. You're just going to have to listen and see. This one is from r/true off my chest. My girlfriend's dad apologized to me years after breaking us up. Oh, this kind of reminds me of the story of my first girlfriend, which maybe I'll say in a future video. When I was 19, I dated a girl whose dad hated me. He thought I was a waste of potential because I was working retail instead of going to college. He pressured her until she broke up with me. That was 11 years ago, so I guess now this person is 30. I never saw her again. Last week, I was at a hardware store when a man stopped me and said my name. It was him, the father. I barely recognized him. Gray hair, softer voice. He told me that he still thought about what he did. He said, I ruined something good because I was proud. He told me his daughter married somebody successful and it ended badly. And then he said, I was wrong about you. I hope you found happiness. I just stood there. The 19-year-old me wanted to say everything I'd held it in, but all I said was, I did. I haven't stopped thinking about this since. I didn't realize how much weight I was still carrying from something that happened over a decade ago. I mean, I'm assuming this is true. This doesn't seem so far-fetched. Those, especially if, speaking from experience, if this was truly this person's first love, first girlfriend, especially if it was the first person they boinked, it makes sense that they would have never forgot about it, because those events and those experiences, they stick around and they linger. Let's look at some of the comments. Sorted by best, the top comment is, sounds like he grew. And your response shows that you did too. Double win. Yeah, that's some typical basic Reddit talk. Somebody says the girlfriend didn't win, it seems. Somebody else said, straight up out of a movie. I'm not saying it's fake, but that's just how life goes sometimes. People make mistakes that they regret. They mature. Kudos to OP for his composure. And one other one says, makes sense that the 19-year-old grew up and matured. Most dads... Wait, what does this say about... Oh, the 19-year-old is the OP. I'm sorry. Most dads wouldn't have, though. I'm happy that OP is happy. And I'm glad that he got the apology. I hope he gave the same apology to his daughter and that she's better now, too. Somebody else said, sometimes you can teach an old dog new tricks. The last comment I'll read is, somebody says, I am 54. I have been lucky enough to have been in situations where I can apologize and try to atone for the past dumb shit that I've done. Do it whenever you can. It lightens the heaviest of life. Yeah, I just want to give, some of my own personal thoughts, like, well, first of all, even like if you go through a bad situation and somebody doesn't apologize to you, it's always worse to live with a grudge, unless somebody is an active danger to your life, keep them out. It's usually for the better, but a lot of the time, people deserve second chances. And just, I guess what I'm just trying to say is that if you take things less personal, and it's easier said than done, but the least you get hung up on things, the happier you will be. Especially when it comes to interactions with people that you don't really know. Especially if you are a retail worker or food service worker or customer, you always have to enter those types of interactions as if, they are having the worst day of their life. And, always try to give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, unless, they're being, straight up abusive or dangerous. But if they're giving a resting mad face, don't assume that, they're upset with you. I have a personal anecdote where I was going up to a drive-in fast food restaurant, and whenever the worker, this was like a local place in my small town, so whenever the worker came out, I think this was maybe only the fourth or fifth time I had ever seen them, which is actually kind of a low number given how, small the area that I live in is. But she was one of those really, really over the top friendly type of people. And I just remember she had said something to me about how, oh, you always look so mad or sad or upset or something. And I just remembered being dumbfounded, I was just no. I don't know, I always feel so awkward in social situations like that. I was just no, I told her I think I just have a resting bitch face. And then, of course, in that interaction, I put a big smile on my face so that I look nice and happy. Nice and happy. Okay. Anyways, on to the next. Okay, so I found a couple of other stories. These are mainly coming through Ask Reddit, which, yes, I know, boring, but this is supposed to be listened to in the background anyways. And if I run out of time, I also have a wiki roulette that I can read at the end. So this person asks 25 days ago, which a lot of Ask Reddit stories just end up being repeat questions, but there's always new comments. So this person says, What is something that you didn't realize was optional in life until you saw someone simply not doing it? Which, read between, So, of course, the first comment is quitting. Everyone always says how resilient I am, but truthfully, I just didn't realize I was allowed to quit anything. That's interesting. Maybe this person just always felt a social pressure that they had never questioned before, possibly. Oh, yes. The second most top comment is finishing every book that you start. Dropping a book that you're not enjoying is elite adulthood. Yeah, I haven't really ever finished a book since I was in school, to be honest. I mean, I can't be the only one. I feel like nowadays, though, with the internet, it's there's an overload. There's an overabundance of content. So you feel like there's always something new. So it's hard to just stick to one thing, Oh, here's a response that I can kind of actually relate to. A friend once said something like, "Please don't take this personally or in the wrong way, but I'm just not really up to talking right now." And I was so thankful. It saves my ass from overextending myself socially all the time. Yes, I think a lot of the times, once you become an adult, you realize that you can just, instead of playing these weird social games, you can just tell somebody hey, I don't really want to talk right now. I just want my space, which, I mean, it sounds so stupid and so obvious, but it can be a real challenge, especially for introverted people, I think. I was recently having a conversation with one of my friends, and I was telling them how, I was an introvert, and it takes a lot of, it's very mentally taxing, to interact with a bunch of people, especially in real life. And they said, they saw I put myself out there so much on the internet. They thought, of course you have to be an extrovert. But I was like, putting myself out on the internet is not socially taxing at all. I'm literally just sitting here alone in my house, talking into a microphone, sitting on my computer. I hope I'm not talking too loud to still. Sorry that my voice level hasn't been totally consistent. I'm still testing out what works. And what sounds good. So here's another one. This person says that I was killing myself at my first job. Not literally. Working late, answering emails at 10 p.m., going the extra mile. I thought that's what good employees did. And then I saw a senior guy at my team, super respected, brilliant at the job, log off at 4:59 p.m. every single day. I once saw a manager tried to give him weekend work, and he just looked at him blankly and said, "No, I won't be doing that. See you Monday." My jaw hit the floor. The world didn't end. He wasn't fired. He just had boundaries. It changed my life. Yeah, that's a very Reddit comment. But, I mean, yeah, definitely. It's kind of another Reddit tier quote, but I just love this saying, like, take a shit on a company or I don't know. Of course, now I forget exactly what it is. Oh, boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I shit on company time. Yeah, there we go. Dollar makes a dime. That's why I shit on company time. Company time. Company time. It's very interesting. Anyways. Oh my god. I was gonna switch to the next thread, but this comment reply is too relatable. Using the fancy cups plate like, China. Mom was flabbergasted when I made her a cup of tea using the china from her display cabinet. If not now, then when? Why shouldn't we use it when we can? I think that's so funny because growing up, like, we were not very rich or anything, like pretty middle of the road, middle class in the Midwest. And I remember we had a china cabinet, and I don't know if it was just like a splurge purchase before me and my brother were born, or if it was from family members, or exactly how we got all of it. But I always looked at it as, like this teeny tiny museum in our house. So in a sense, one part of my brain was like, oh yes, like this is very expensive and special. That's why we don't eat off of it. But then on the other hand, I was like, okay, well, we have all this fancy cutlery and dishes. Why are they just wasting space? Because I never thought of it as art. It was never, I don't know. It was just so funny. Because it's like, I always thought, well, even if we did, because we did have certain like dishes that we would use on special occasions. So I was like, okay, well, if that, then why not that? Because it's not like paper plates. I don't know. Growing up, I was one of the kids that I always asked why about everything, because there's still, at my ripe elderly age of 24, that I just don't really quite understand. Let's read the top reply. I used to be guilty of thinking like your mother. I was gifted a beautiful, fancy, too expensive outfit for my newborn 30 some odd years ago. Oh, so we got a... No, sorry. They said I never put it on her because I thought it was too fancy for a newborn to slobber and poop all onto. As a result, it went without ever being worn. It was a waste of the giver's money and of our closet space, I suppose. In retrospect, I should have used the hell out of it because it cost so much, and that's the only way to get the value of it, would have been to use it excessively. That's not the whole thing, but that's like the dilemma of like really expensive clothing and stuff. It's like, okay, well, it's really expensive, so you don't want to like ruin it or get it dirty because it's worth a lot. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, well, if you never wear it, I'm sure there has to be like some sort of official word for that paradox. So then the rest of it is I've tried to keep that in mind ever since. The more it costs, the more that it should be used to gain the value of it, not the more that it should be kept locked away just to look at. And then they said, unless it's a painting or something. Which, yeah, I feel like everybody can recognize the point of it when it comes to things like, like fancy jewels, and sculptures and paintings and art, specifically art pieces that aren't meant to be used in a certain way. Alright, I got a couple short stories, and then we're going to end off on this slightly more positive, heartwarming thread, just to tie a bow on it all. So this thread is from Ask Reddit, but it's from 11 years ago. 11 years ago. What is a crazy story that you've been wanting to tell, but there's never been a thread specific enough for it? So, starting with sorted by best. One of these people says, not really the craziest, but my absolute favorite story in the world that is 100% true. And so this sounds like this is about this person specifically. I've got 3 cousins who are birth siblings. Cousins that are birth siblings. I think they mean like biologically related, were adopted by my aunt and uncle 20 some odd years ago. So at this point it would have been like 31 years ago. The oldest boy was maybe 6 at the time, and the 2 younger sisters were maybe 3 and 4. They had just moved in, and my aunt and uncle wanted to introduce them to some kids in the neighborhood and from the Cook family down the street. So they set up a dinner date on the calendar. The oldest is just trying to learn how to read and is the newest to the house. So he gets his sisters to pack their toys, and they get caught trying to sneak out of the house. My aunt, who is still, at this point, a strange old lady. These kids just moved in with, asks them why they're leaving. And the oldest asked her, why does the calendar say, cook kids for dinner? Okay. I can't imagine the fear the 6-year-old me would have felt if my new mom had just written this on her calendar, but the story is just so damn cute for some reason. Okay. Yeah, I feel like that first part, I guess I should have proofread it to make the punchline better. So, the last name being Cook mattered a lot to the story. That's pretty funny. Somebody else from also 11 years ago, like the same date. When I worked at the Salvation Army, we had a regular called Teresa. Okay, maybe it's only one R. A bearded man who wore pink tutus and would come in every day and see if we had Barbie dolls. Okay, maybe they're, One day he came in very anxiously and asked for a razor. I told him that we didn't have one, and then he started twitching and saying, "I need a razor. Stop hiding them. Just give me a razor." But with more cursing. When I tried to direct him to another store, he exploded and yelled, "I have a disease growing on my face. I am a woman. This beard is a disease on my face. You don't understand." So this is a crazy person. At this point, an elderly Italian woman ran over and yelled at him in that Italian gibberish that only they can do, and then he freaked out and bailed out. He came. I'm just gonna skip this. Ah! Okay, so continuing on the same thread, there's another story from, I'm assuming it's a girl. My last year of college, kind of lonely as fuck because I'm 18 and I've still never had a boyfriend. I was a photography major, taking random photos with my chunky DSLR when I noticed a group of hot guys tossing around a football across from me. One hot one came over and introduced himself to me, and I quickly knew where this was going. And then he said, "My friend over there thinks you're cute. The one in the white shirt." I saw a guy in the white shirt, and he was almost a midget. He had to be like 4'11", with short arms and legs. According to the internet, a midget is legally an inch shorter. Okay, I'm sorry. They're supposed to be called a little person. Anyway, I didn't want to laugh and turned him down, so we became friends. I even snapped a photo of him. One day I had no classes for 3 hours and it was pouring outside. So everyone was inside with nowhere to sit. He said his house was a few minutes away and that his aunt was home, so we could go there. I hesitated a lot, but why not? His house was a half an hour away and in the middle of Farmville, Bumblefuck. Keep in mind, 2014. Completely secluded in the woods. With it being dark and rainy, I felt this was a sign. We got there and he lied. Nobody was home. Red flag number 1. I put my book bag down and I noticed pictures of him wrangling baby cows and shit. I asked him what the fuck was that, and apparently he's a cowboy in competitions. He was a midget cow. Literally the most fucking random thing ever. And then while watching TV on the sofa, he popped a chicken nugget stiffy. And he tried to pull a move to force sexy time upon me. He was trying to wrangle me. After some struggle, I jumped off of the couch and pulled out my handy dandy box cutter for situations like this. You know, a midget cowboy trying to essay you. I told him to drive me back to school or else I'll stab him. He popped off and yelled, "Cunt!" and drove off. Apparently his friend said that he used his shortness to pick up chicks and usually they pity fuck him. Okay, I'm gonna just remove this. Okay, seriously, what are you still doing here? Like, the screen is already black. There's no reason for you to still be watching. Well, maybe you're just listening. If you're just listening, hey, click clack. I don't know how you got to the end of this insufferable video, but look at the screen and then read the message. Why don't ya? Love you. Bye.